Hermes draw near, and to my prayer incline, in arts gymnastic and in fraud divine.
Dire weapon of the tongue which men revere, be present, Hermes, and thy supplant here.
Welcome to Third Eye Bind, Episode 5, Sacredness of Secrecy.
Thank you for supporting the show by subscribing, rating, and sharing. Please join us at patreon.com/thirdeyebind.
Hello, I'm Laura,
And I'm Caitlin.
and welcome to Third Eye Bind. What are we talking about today?
Today we are talking about the sacredness of secrecy.
Secrecy.
And it's time to pull a card.
Yes.
I'm going to grab my Sirens of Song tarot deck.
By Lady Moonco.
That's it. Ooh, that's it. Do I cut the deck? No. Oh. That's interesting. This is...
What is it?
It's a secret.
What is it? Is it a secret?
It's a secret.
Just maybe don't tell me and then I have to guess through the course of what you're talking about. No, don't do that. Because I don't know the deck
So,
that well.
I
What is
pulled
it?
the Two of Pentacles. And
Okay.
it's not one that I guessed we were going to see at the beginning of this episode, but it's actually quite perfect now that I'm sitting here and taking it in. The Two of Pentacles is all about finding balance.
Uh-huh.
And while there is sacredness in our secrecy, there's also healing and sharing with those we trust, those we have community with. And the message of the Two of Pentacles is about using our discernment to determine when is the right time for us to open up and share and be seen, and when is the right time to draw in the veil to protect us, to keep a lid on the pot that contains our magic and protect it as it grows. I think it's extra special because on the Sirens of Song deck, we have lyrics to songs on each card. And on the Two of Pentacles, it's "You won't see me fall apart because I've got an elastic heart." And like, you won't see me. I know.
God, whoever created that deck is a genius.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
What?
So let's get into it.
Man, okay, what? I like the idea that secrecy is elastic in that it's malleable, like anything else. I think that's a really good card for this because that's the question. That's the issue. I think that we're ultimately good. Like at the end of the episode, we would have come to this conclusion at the end, but instead it's presenting itself at the beginning, saying, how do we balance these things? How do we share, but also leave some for ourselves? Or when is our magic more potent in secrecy? And when is it more potent in public? What does that balance look like? And that's just that's the issue, I think, for a lot of us and a lot of creators and a lot of just humans and witches, especially now. And I think a good place, the most obvious place to start with that is social media. All social media is sharing and seeing other people's content and taking that in constantly 24/7. And as a witch, how do you discern? Again, there's that word discernment that we've talked about like every episode. That's really truly the key to everything is discernment. Like how do we know when to share and when to keep for ourselves? What is it? What does that look like for us depending on what we're trying to accomplish? Because I believe that secrecy as a business move is a tool. Absolutely. Keeping things like It's like Kanye says, wait till I get my money right.
Yes.
And you can't tell me nothing, right? Like, I love that song because it's just like, wait till this, like, just I'm holding this. Mm-hmm. You won't even know when I get my shit together. It's going to be, and you won't even know. Mm-hmm. I love that.
Kind of like when Beyonce dropped Lemonade.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Using secrecy as a tool. I guess we'll start there. I mean, no one knew that she was even making an album, right? And then all of a sudden, just boom.
Not only an album, but like an epic
a
visual
tour de force of art.
And we all stayed up all night and watched it and talked about it for months after.
That made it more powerful that they kept it a secret.
Absolutely.
So inserting that into witchcraft and spirituality, I'm so biased because I'm a solitary practitioner. I am a solitary witch. Am I? I don't know. We'll get to that in a minute. But my origin story is that I'm a solitary practitioner. And a lot of my potency is based on that, I never shared it and that I keep things to myself and have that deep personal relationship with it that no one can comment away or touch because it's mine and it's something that I have. And that came out of necessity. It came out of intuition, but it also came out of nobody talked about witchcraft when I was growing up. I didn't grow up in a culture that was, I wasn't taught witchcraft or spirituality. That's fine, but that's what a lot of people lean into when they're starting out if they don't grow up with some sort of influence.
Yeah, you have to keep it in the broom closet.
Yeah, you're in the broom closet, and that's fine. It's a fine place to be. Okay, that's a fine place to exist,
especially if it protects you.
Right. But it's like, and this is coming up because for a long time and historically speaking, I also think there's a lot of solidarity. I guess that's a word. If not, it is now, because witchcraft, if you didn't notice, isn't really accepted historically. So I think that sort of drove people to keep it to themselves too. But now that there's this renaissance of witchcraft in public on social media, it's more accepted. It's because it's more prevalent because of social media has been able to connect people. And when you get people connecting over a single cause, it's very powerful and it becomes more normal and accepted. Not totally, but it is more accepted. And I think that's great. But at the same time, there's this whole equilibrium of like oversharing and there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. And there's the rub for me as somebody who went on Instagram, started a witch business without knowing any other witches or without knowing that there were so many of us. And then discovering that there were and being like, oh, this is amazing. And then actually making money from my business and like growing that way. It's been, bless you. It's been interesting, but at the same time, that's required me to share more of myself than I'm sometimes willing to do. Bless you. And what does that do to me?
To have so much of yourself exposed. Yeah.
What does that do to my practice? What is that? Am I a solitary anymore? Because I literally create things for witches and being a creatrix is part of my identity as a witch. And am I? So I don't know the answer to that. I'm just asking, am I a solitary anymore?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up in an interesting dichotomy of going to Catholic school every day and going to Catholic church every Sunday, but also having this cultural influence of espiritismo because of my dad. And it was always really confusing because my dad would say, like, you can't tell people. You can't talk to people about this stuff. You cannot tell people about this. And it was really for our protection, because eventually when I was in high school, his best friend ended up using it against him to like turn the entire congregation against the Granias.
And Catholic congregation?
Oh. They like equated it to satanic worship, which, by the way, we'll talk about soon.
Yes.
Because it's deeply misunderstood.
Satan is coming.
Satan
season 2.
is coming. Don't you worry. Season 2.
Strap in.
Oh. But I grew up with this understanding that like our silence protects us. Our silence protects this really beautiful spiritual practice that was handed down to me by my dad, by my grandparents. And the reason it continues to exist is because those who came even before them kept their mouths shut. And when I first started to become public as a professional spiritual practitioner, I remember my abuelo sitting me down and telling me, it's best not talk too much. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like, how do I have a thriving business if I'm not allowed to talk about what I do? And it's definitely been an exercise in discernment in what I share about my spiritual practice. And a lesson that I've learned big time on TikTok about a few months ago, I started talking about espiritismo on TikTok, and I would get flooded with all of these questions and all of these contradictions. And it was because I had made a funny post with an Anna Delvey sound, and it just like blew up. And I had to like check in with myself and remind myself, like, Kate, you cannot explain a centuries old spiritual practice in 15 fucking seconds. And I was reminded again why, like, our silence really is a shroud of protection. Because all of a sudden I was getting all of these wild comments and like aggressive comments. And I was just so confused about how making something funny, because it's hilarious, you can find it, it's still on there. How making something funny had turned into like a wildfire. And it also, right? And it also reminded me, like, maybe I don't need to talk about spirituality on TikTok. Maybe in this situation, silence is the most important thing. And that's just not where I'm called to share, and that's okay. That's kind of why we started this podcast, because short form stuff like that can't encompass all of the nuance, all of the history, all of the people who go into the practices that we've cultivated. So it's also hard though, because like my class, Into the Veil, is where I share espiritismo with people who are actually genuinely dedicated to learning about something. And through that class, I have made the most beautiful connections. I have made sincere friends. I have made long-term mentees through this program, through being vulnerable and sharing this family practice with others. And it was scary to even do that. I remember going to my grandfather and going to my mentor and saying, like, this is what the spirits are telling me to share, but I'm afraid. Are you sure this is okay? And they're like, there's only one way to find out, is you have to try. And I also struggle constantly with like, what can I share? Or like when I'm doing rituals and it's really fucking beautiful and I'm in it and the moment's amazing, and I'm like, there's this little voice in my brain that's like, should I stop and take a picture? should I take a video of this? And I don't want to, because TBH, like, my spirits don't like the iPhone. They don't like screens. They're very like, if you bring that here, we're turning all of this off.
Yeah.
So I try to keep it away from my rituals. And then I get in this headspace of, well, should I record something that's not real? Like, should I stage a ritual and then record that and share that? And my spirits were like, why would you share something that's fake? And I'm like, okay, what do I do then? What do I do?
It's so much of what you said. I totally get the feeling of extreme vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even sharing, because I'm a creative being.
Mm-hmm.
And my little ghosty pin designs or whatever, that's a part of my art. Like, that's, I come from a performing arts background. Okay. Like, this is what I got right now.
Mm-hmm.
And this is part of why we're doing this podcast too, because I like to speak. I like to talk. Okay. And that's,
We're Geminis. If
we're
you didn't know.
Geminis.
We're
If you
Geminis.
didn't already know that. And for whatever reason, if I can't be on a stage, then that's what I do. It's my business. Is what I do. I do like visual art now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's super vulnerable for me to even post something as a witch. It's a very scary thing. So in posting something, you're also inviting comment. You're also in, if you allow that on your page, because I didn't know if anyone didn't know this, but you can turn off comments on your posts. I've thought about doing that permanently a bajillion times. I've actually limited, this is a practical tip. If you want to post things but are scared of like comments or hate, or your frenemies like commenting weird shit, you can filter out words, usernames. People can't tag certain people on your account. People that bully you, they can't get to you. You can filter out like hate, like literally the word hate, copy, whatever. Like, you can do that, and you can turn off the comments completely, which a lot of, like, I've seen a lot of celebrity accounts do, and which is, I think, is very smart. And you can also, block people. There's so many different ways to protect you. You can also change it for only people that follow you and people you follow can comment on you, which is what I have on. So that's been very helpful. Just if you're someone that it's your job, like us, and you want to keep posting and sharing, but you have to make money to survive. But your mental health is suffering. That's been really helpful, and you can't afford to have somebody, do it for you.
Yeah.
That's been really a practical tip. But yes, like on TikTok, and I think you can turn them off on TikTok also.
Yeah.
And you know what? When people say, oh, they turn off their comments, oh, they're like wussing out or what, you know what I mean? It's just like, oh, that's what's the word I'm thinking of? Like, that's a cop out.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's your platform. You've earned those followers, and you can do whatever the fuck you want to protect yourself. Honestly, if someone comments something on something you've shared that you don't like, just delete it. It's your space. You've cultivated it. That's what I think. So practically, those are some things that I've been doing.
I think that's really important for like marginalized folks too, because
Yes.
like that's where the hate comments are literally the worst. Like, it's okay to turn off duet. It's okay to turn off comments. It's okay to just not read them, or like post and then delete the app from your phone and come back later to post. Like, that is a form of psychic and spiritual protection with your, relationship to tech. And like, you have a right to exercise that. I hate saying like you have a right.
But you do. I mean,
but you do. Like, it's okay to set boundaries with your audience. And the truth is that most of the people who are coming for you don't actually have any sort of investment in you or your work. Usually it's not people who actually care about you or want to help keep you accountable or on the straight and narrow. Like, I don't want to say straight and narrow because I'm crooked as fuck. But, I just want to be clear. Like, we're not talking about dodging accountability. We're
No.
talking about like
on your
like trolls,
like trolly
trolls.
Yeah,
Who otherwise wouldn't like be
if
interested.
you're a white supremacist, you deserve
to be dragged.
Yeah, that's how we're saying. But yeah, if you're,
turn off the comments.
Turn
Absolutely.
off the comments. That kind of helps the balance a little bit. It's still, honestly, social media feels extremely unsafe for me every day.
Yeah.
It truly does. And I don't like that.
Yeah.
And I am fighting every urge all the time to just not do it anymore. But I have to, and that's okay. That's part of my job. It's part of my job. That's another thing that has helped me lately as a witch that has a business involving my craft, to really, really get it in my brain that that is my job.
Right. It's not your identity.
It's not my identity. That is my job. So that helps a bit in my Venus Cancer sensitive little personality.
Yeah.
That I don't get as butthurt.
Yeah.
It's really, I hate like have a thick skin. I kind of hate that.
Yeah.
But it also kind of like is that a little bit. It's
adds a layer of
yeah. So secrecy is very sacred to me.
Yeah.
When I can have it, when I can afford to have it.
Yes.
It is so like a weighted blanket. We were talking about weighted blankets earlier.
It
How
is
wonderful
like a
they
weighted
are.
blanket.
Yeah, because you know what's happened or what could happen to you if you overshare your witchcraft or your craft on the internet. And I'm not sharing like personal rituals and things like that. I actually don't do that. I did it for a while. I kind of did, but then I was kind of figuring out what that was like at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And, I don't share like altars often. Sometimes I do, but it was more like hey, I made this like a DIY thing. I wasn't like
something they told
I wasn't
you could
active
share.
in ritual. I was like, here's my altar, whatever. But that's rare.
Yeah.
But it's what could happen is you get burnt out on your own witchcraft.
Yeah.
Quite frankly. And that is the worst feeling in the world.
When your witchcraft becomes your content, you get burnt out by it.
The worst feeling. And I've felt it. Because in your personal life, when do you actually do ritual? When do you actually show up for your guides? And when do you actually connect?
And when is it just a performance for your audience? I kind of wonder that about those accounts like on TikTok that are constantly posting like, do this ritual, doing this ritual, doing this ritual. And someone I follow who I really love, their handle is Afro Spiritual. And he made a really good post the other day. Like, if you're constantly doing rituals, constantly posting about it, either A, you're not actually doing them. You're not actually doing those rituals. Or B, if you need to constantly be doing spells and rituals, you're not taking care of your spiritual basics.
I love that.
You're not taking care of your spiritual maintenance. Because if you're actually devoted to an altar, whether it's to the spirit within you or the higher powers around you, most of your basic needs find a way to get to you. I'm not saying it's always super abundant because the powers that be, aka the systems we exist in, are doing their fucking damnedest to keep you high and dry. But when you have a dedicated practice, like your basic needs find their way to you, and you shouldn't have to cast spells constantly to take care of yourself, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
And I think if taking care of yourself means you need to post constantly and get that feed, you're just addicted to social media.
There we go. Yes. Take it from a couple of addicts. Literally, though. I feel like I struggle with it.
I struggle with that too. It's it's truly an addictive thing. And I think we're in, 100 years, hopefully sooner, we're going to look back and I'm going to be alive. Me in my next life is going to look back when I'm a fucking sea otter again, because I would love that, to not be a human in my next life. Shit, just putting that out there. Yeah.
Whoever's listening.
Whoever the fuck is listening. Hermes, relay that.
Knock on wood.
I don't want to be human again.
He does help the soul's transition.
I don't want to be human again. And then we're going to think, wow, people were fucked up.
On that IG.
Wow, people were on social
on
media all the time.
Yeah.
And now they're all in insane asylums. It's all going to be all the old people. We're just going to be like...
It's all the millennials.
No, it's scary. Yeah, seriously. All the millennials are all just insane because of this. I have hope for the future that happens. That there's... I don't know.
That we all collectively turn against social media.
Realize how detrimental to our mental health it is, because I don't think we're at a place where we understand that we're starting to. And I love that person that you follow says that, because I see more people saying that kind of stuff. And it makes me happy, because I've been thinking that for a very long time and noticing it, but not wanting to call it out. Myself as Laura, I don't feel super right being like, why are you posting on? I don't know. But at the same time, I've noticed that and been wanting to just be like, why are you?
I don't have to share everything.
Because I know how potent witchcraft can be when it's personal. And yeah, I know that feeling, and I don't know any other way to get there. I don't know how to get to that feeling with sharing. Yeah. For me, I wonder if there are spirits or deities that like to be shared.
There are somebody that I work with, Saint Judas or Saint Jude, who's not the same one who kissed Jesus. It's a different Judas. But you usually see him like in the Latin market where all the velas are on a green candle. And St. Judas is really helpful at getting you some funds quickly. Someone to petition when you like need help fast. And part of the stipulation, part of the payment to this particular folk spirit is that they want to be thanked publicly. But they don't want you to show you're working publicly. They don't want you to show the spell, the altar. They just want to see a public thank you. You could literally take out an anonymous personal ad in your local newspaper saying thank you to him, and he would receive that as your payment.
That's awesome.
So there are spirits who do like to be shared, but even my experience with them, they're like, but protect the magic, protect the ritual, and also don't tell people what you're asking for. I think that when we share our petitions, when we share our projects too soon, we really open ourselves up to either being discouraged by people who aren't into it, and it's like, I'm not even done yet. And then you give up, or we open ourselves up to being copied, to feeling like other people are taking our ideas before we have a chance to complete them. And you know, whether that's true or not, I think it does happen all the time. I think
that's just to interject, that is actually really interesting, because I don't like posting. I've told Mike, my husband, this before. I don't like posting things that aren't finished. I don't like posting like in between. Sometimes I do, but it's always already done. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's already, I don't like posting like progression, like things, because I'm like, no, this is my idea. Like I have a really cute thing coming out in the fall. I will tell you later. Like really cute and random and just like bring joy.
But no one can know.
But I'm not telling a fucking person because then I've also been copied a lot. Like I make croc charms. Okay. It's very important.
It is important.
It's very important. It's a very important necessary item. Did not invent crocs. Did not invent croc charms, but I was the first shop that I know of to make witchy croc charms. Those first two sets have been copied incessantly by wholesalers who then sell them to shops that don't design for themselves and don't know that they're stolen from a particular person, but that person is me, and it's fucking crazy. But it's okay, because that's part of the biz. But that's happened to me a lot. So I know, because we were the first to do that, you're going to get copied when you're when you're fucking like paving the way for witchy shoe charms. And that's what, but that's, you know, that's what, anyway, that's a whole nother topic, but that's it's delightful. And also like, well, I'm not sure. And I didn't share those things until they were done, because that's an idea, especially if it's something that is innovative.
Yeah. All the more reason to not share until like it's ready. The cart is ready, because otherwise somebody else is going to take that progress shot and finish it for you.
Exactly. Or they have a manufacturer that's quicker. Like this is just business 101. Like, but the fuck was I talking about? Oh, I was going to say, you said, you know, take out a local ad in your newspaper rather than post on social media. Let's think about why those two things are different. How is that different? How is, I'm not even like challenging it. I just want to talk about like how, I love that, because
there's more distance.
There's more distance. There's more serendipity for like who would even see that.
No, how magical,
it's
right?
almost a secret in itself. It's like going to Disneyland. Some people do this, and like hiding one of your pins that you make or something, like hiding something for someone to find. Like
only whoever's meant to see it, and only will see it.
Yeah, and only whoever knows who's meant to see that spirit's thank you. They might be like, what the fuck? That's so random. And then they might be like, I'm going to Google this spirit. And maybe that's why spirit is like, put it in the newspaper. So it's more deliciously found.
Yes.
Rather than like, here's Judas. Here's Judas. Look at this ritual I did. It's like, okay, well, you already have an audience. That's boring. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? There's something that's interesting. It's like you're feeding something to wolves. That's what I feel like when I throw. It's like there's a den of wolves, and I love you, den of wolf followers. You're all my. I love you and wolf appreciate babies. You. But for that's sort of what it feels like when you have, you know, like people that that follow you or support you. Sometimes it can feel like, particularly when something goes quote unquote viral, because there's a whole mass of new people that see it that you don't know and aren't familiar with. You're like, I don't know your handle. Like, who are you? Because
people who have no relationship with you, your work.
They're just trolls. No offense to actual trolls who are probably like, I don't like that.
Who gave them our name?
Who gave them our name? Boo. But I think that's the difference, is that it feels like you're just throwing meat in a den of wolves. Like, here you go. Is everyone going to be happy? Is everyone going to get the piece of meat that they want? If not, you're going to try and bite my hand.
Yes.
That's what it feels like.
It does feel that way.
Particularly when things get, which is what we want. We want, it's such a conundrum, because it's like we want more. It's like more money, more problems. Is essentially that statement. It's more, the more you put out, the more it's consumed, the more bullshit people you're gonna have to deal with, the more on the fray, like comments you're gonna have. And it's just, you may make more money, but then you have.
What's the cost?
Yeah.
What's the cost on your soul?
Satan coming season 2. Oh my God. Seriously though, that's very interesting. And these are real issues, like day to day.
Every day I think about this. My spirits have been pushing me, like, you need to show your face more. You need to channel with your face to your audience more. And I'm like, I'm literally terrified. I don't allow video recordings during my sessions anymore. I only do audio now because I don't want people to see my face. I don't want people to have access to my face. And also, like, with all of these fake accounts that have been popping up, like, so many people are using my face to steal money and trick people. And so I'm starting to have this really strange, confusing relationship with, like, the identity that Earth gave me, my physical vessel that they want me to use to share. I'm like, but I feel like I don't even own it anymore. Like, it doesn't belong to me at this point. And I'm really scared that if I do what they ask and I start channeling more and being more visible as a part of my brand, do I lose a part of myself? You know, like you said, it's like feeding the wolves, and it's not like to talk shit about the people who love the work that we do. It's just that we are all at this point conditioned to consume things too quickly, whether we realize it or not. Like Amazon Prime has fucked us up. Streaming has fucked us up. Remember waiting in line for a new album at Tower Records?
Remember going to Blockbuster to rent a movie?
Yes. Like,
it was fun.
Instant access to everything has people really confused, especially for small business owners and individual practitioners, because we're not giant corporations who can keep churning shit out to feed the beast. Like, we're just little creatives going, do, I have this idea. Bloop, here it is. It's only a little bit because I'm one human. And then everybody's like, more. It's like,
talk about mentorship. Like, and a lot of these small business owners are not trained in business at all.
No,
and I'm not even, you do not need them. I'm not even talking about a degree. I'm a college dropout, proud of it.
Me too.
High five.
High five.
You don't need quitters. I one semester and I was like out. You don't need a college degree to fucking know how to run a business. No. I'm talking about like maybe knowing someone. Like I learned a lot from my husband. I'm lucky enough to have a partner that literally is a mentor to me. And that's fucking rare. So I'm gracious and grateful for that. And I'm surrounded by a lot of people that he knows and that I know that know what they're doing and have experience. So I've learned a lot, and I'm just good at it naturally. But there's a lot of people that aren't, and I don't think that I mean anybody can do it, and that's great. But it's like I feel for those people that don't understand how to deal with something like for instance, I'm dealing with like people copying my products. I have a good head on my shoulders about it. It's not ripping me apart. It did at first.
Yeah.
But then I had to be like, this is my job. This is the risk of what happens when you deal with XYZ. And this is why it happened. And there's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing I can do about it. I tried to be like, no. It's just not worth it. But there's people that are dealing with that don't understand that. And they're just floundering.
Yeah.
Things like that where I'm just like, the sharing and even having a business and doing that it's so much.
It is.
It's so much for anybody.
And like, when we come back to how a lot of small business owners are creatives, or at least in the circles that we run through, like most artists weren't born to be business people. No, they were born to be creative artists, whether it's performance or visual, whatever. Musicians, like
it's we not inherent.
No, because like merchantry is fucking new. Right. Like being a merchant is not part of the earth's design, like that I can understand, at least that I've come to understand. And so it's not surprising that so many of us are suffering through our exposure. And also like art wasn't meant to be consumed in this way, where we're constantly having to churn things out to like be visible and keep surfing the algorithm or whatever the fuck. Like that's not how it was supposed to be. No. Artists used to take however long they needed to take to create something.
God, can you imagine like
the Sistine Chapel? Can you hurry
in a year? It's like, and then back then it probably did happen where they're like, I'm going at my own pace. It's like 2 years. I mean, imagine having that long to sit with an idea, honestly.
Right.
I've already ordered everything for fall.
Yeah.
Which in my head, I'm like, it's June, Laura. You should have already. I was going to
say, you're actually a little late.
Right? No, but like, I mean, I thought I'd start thinking about it in like April.
I was just going to say March and April is when you have to do it.
That's business. Yeah. But yeah, it would be cool to like have a little more time with things because people, and that's consumerism and just how we get bored of things so fast. Yeah. It's like
the apparel industry and fast fashion really has a lot to do with that.
Yeah, that's interesting. You know a lot about that.
Yeah, I was in apparel for a decade before I became a professional witch.
It's great that you did that though.
It is, because if it hadn't been for my time in both retail and wholesale, like you said, would have no understanding of business. That's just
Right.
not my thing.
And you do. And that's great. And, everyone's got different
it's
life
limited.
experiences. And
Even still, I'm like, I just want to be a witch of the woods. I want people to come knock on my cottage door when they need the shit that I know how to make, and I can service them, and they'll bring me treats or a goat or some shit like that, and then move on.
Yeah.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
I want to sing songs for apples.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'll stand outside your cottage and be like, and do a little like jig and tap dance, and they'll just give me some of that goat meat.
Exactly.
And I'll be like, cool, bye, and I'll just leave.
Exactly. Yes.
That sounds great.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
I'll be like the chorus to your ritual. Like I'll just like act it out in a different way. Like the Greek chorus.
Yes.
That's interesting.
When we started this podcast, I didn't tell anyone we were doing this.
Oh, no.
I didn't even tell my mom. My husband is the only person that knew, and that was out of necessity because we had to arrange childcare.
Because he's like, where are you going?
I'll be gone.
I'll be gone on Saturday. What? Where
are you safe? Are you okay? Are you mad at me?
And you know what? The way that we're recording this also is secrecy, because we're finishing the whole season before we start dropping it.
Exactly.
That's another one of my things where I'm like, I just want it all. And then we can focus on letting people know about it.
Yes.
That's also a form of, it's like organized secrecy.
Yeah. It really
strategic secrecy. Yeah. Alliteration again.
That's like that good emperor energy, that good hierophant energy of leaning into discipline so that you can spiritually and psychically and even sometimes physically protect yourself.
I think that is what this is about too. Two of Pentacles, I see you over there. that sort of, if we're talking about tarot, like that sort of energy where it's like, it's balance, it's discernment, it's always discernment.
It's always discernment.
But it's not easy, and I don't want people listening to feel discouraged because they're like, oh, I'm not doing it right. Like, oh, it is changing constantly. And it is so hard.
It is literally a lifelong practice.
It is so tiring and hard.
Yes. Discernment is not a constant state of being. Nothing is a constant state of being. It's something we have to tap into.
Particularly social media.
Particularly with social media.
Or sharing. I wonder if it goes both. I mean, it does go both ways too with consuming witch content. Like consuming too much.
Absolutely. If you aren't taking time to listen to your own thoughts, to listen to your own guides, to pay attention to your own environment, and you're only... It's so easy to fall into the TikTok scroll like trap. And then all of a sudden realize like, I haven't thought a single thought. I haven't thunk a single thought about myself. How do I say this? I haven't thought of anything on my own in a few hours. Right. Like, what does that mean for our brains? Like, what does that mean for our souls? I don't...
It's like a weird autopilot. And that's okay to go there sometimes, but...
Yeah, dissociating can be totally helpful.
Again, oh God, I'm the queen of dissociation. Me too. Major.
But we can't live in it.
But at least I know when I'm doing it and I know why.
Growth.
That would be a nice, I know. So I'm like, I want to talk about dissociation.
That's a good episode.
That actually might be a good one. Yeah, like if you're not somebody that is a business owner or puts out content, even if you're not, how are you? It's like sharing. You're still sharing in viewing other people's content. You're still sharing in like the secrecy of your own. This is such a weird thought. I need to try and like verbalize the secrecy of your practice can be what's the word I'm looking for? Compromised. There it is. I found that. I was like, that's the word. It can be compromised by inhaling the essence of other people all day. That's what I'm getting at, is for those that aren't, you know, putting it out. You can still breathe it in too much. And that can still, that's a form of sharing. Maybe it's not publicly, but you're still sharing in something by, Laura did that. Oh, I got to do it like that. Like, oh, she did it like that, but I'm doing it like this, and that's not the same, and I feel insecure.
Am I doing
now.
it wrong? Should I stop? Exactly.
There are people that are not yet confident enough in themselves as practitioners to combat that. I am, because I've done this for a long time alone. And that, my friends, is sacred. That is the sacredness of secrecy. It's a tool also to build yourself up, so that when you consume, you can do it with discernment. You can do it sparingly. You can check yourself when you start to. I'm trying to think of the last time I don't ever do that, because I've practiced and have cultivated that within myself. And I'm confident about it. That's one of the only things I'm 100% certain of in this world and myself that I've always been confident in, is my connection to the earth and witchcraft. That's really a really big part of who I am that I didn't share with anybody for a long time. So that's why it's so sacred, because it's so glued onto my soul and so real for me. And that's why it's so painful for me to see people lost when, and they can't, it's harder to get that connection nowadays because of social media. And
you know, like, even in your offline communities, I find that it happens a lot in our families of origin. Not everybody's rooting for you.
Right.
So you don't need to tell them everything.
No.
Like, I love my grandparents, right? But I also am aware that my abuela runs her mouth to all of my cousins and just about any other Cuban who will pick up the phone and listen. So I'm really careful about the things that I tell her about, because I know that, like, they're probably watching this right now because they also watch my stories. So hi.
Blessings.
Blessings. LMAO. I'm going to get a phone call about this.
No,
I don't give a fuck, though. Anyway.
Invite me over.
I won't say their names, but I know they're watching. I'm really careful about the things that I say to my own grandparents, who support my work, who are actually quite proud of me. Thank you. But I won't tell them when I'm working on new projects until they're completely done, because I know that my cousins don't see life the same way that I do. And the last thing that I need is, like, that energy, like, all over, muddling up my, like, good shit. And even if somebody is not intentionally doing magic to cast, you know, the evil eye at you, just that jealousy, just that, like, disagreement with what you're doing can be potent as fuck, and it can fuck you up. And then you spend time cleansing and clearing that shit off. And so, like, when I did the Jeff Goldblum show, I didn't tell anybody about that until it had aired. I think I told you.
I loved how you
were the
handled that.
only person, because I used your deck. So I
told
sent you a voice
something
message.
too. We shared secrets.
We shared a secret.
Sometimes you share secrets
when you
with
find
people that
somebody you can
trust.
trust. Exactly. And, like, you know, the only other person I would have told was there with me that day. So, like, that was it. Once it aired, then I was okay with sharing it. But even still, I was afraid. I'm like, oh my God, my family members are going to see this. I better do some extra protection work.
That was so cool. And I loved how you handled that, because I would have done the exact same.
It was so hard to not tell everyone that I got to hug Jeff Goldblum.
We're Geminis. We're not shit talkers. We just
can't stop talking.
I can't keep a secret to save. I can keep other people's secrets, but like if I got you a gift, I would give it to you early. Like if I got you a gift, I would tell you what it was.
I can keep other people's secrets
I really
like
can.
no other.
Yeah.
Like Gretchen Wiener's, that's why my hair is so big. But my own, I just want to tell everyone. And it's been a huge exercise in not doing that.
It's worth it in the end.
It's worth it in the end. And I know it's not fun.
Sometimes
I think it is fun.
I think it is fun.
It is fun.
It's professional.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fun, and it pays off.
It can save you a lot of grief and heartache.
Oh yeah. It's like, oh, my cousin is having a baby, and we were like, oh, what are you gonna name it? And like they were a little like, I don't know if we want to tell you. I was like, I won't talk shit about it. It's fine. But like there's that thing of like, I don't want to tell anybody because it'll ruin our experience with it.
The joy around it.
Yeah. And I was like, then they ended up telling me, of course, but it was cool. It was like, it's kind of like that. It's like,
get it.
You have this little thing and you want to protect it and keep it a secret. And that way there's no extra opinions or comments or bullshit. And it's just yours.
I just had this flash to like The Ring and the Lord of the Rings and like how traveling with this ring and the knowledge that Frodo had it fucked his shit up.
Yeah.
It started a whole, I mean, I didn't read the books, but there's a lot of movies.
His best friend got all like, didn't he get all?
Yes,
oh, no.
Even
Maybe
the people
he
closest to you can get weird.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
I can't remember if Samwise got. I think
I haven't seen it in a long
Frodo
time.
started to get like
Yeah.
into he's like the ring is mine,
And then like Bilbo got weird
was
again.
Samwise was like, homie, don't do that. I love you. Like I think he was like the ride or die of the moment. I like that. That's a good person. Be like Samwise.
But like Frodo's own uncle started to get weird about it and wanted the ring back at some point. So like even the people who are closest to you can sometimes unwittingly even become jealous of the things that you're doing. And you know what? Something that I've noticed about me as like a neurodivergent person who's very likely autistic. Like I am 1000% sure that I am an autistic person. Like I tend to want to trust people, and I sometimes struggle with like, well, I did. Now I don't. Now I don't trust anybody.
I don't either. We've been through some shit.
I've been through so much shit that now that my default is like,
I'm the same way.
I don't need any more friends. You can talk to me. You can book a reading with me, but I do not want any more friendships at this point in my life.
Same.
But before that, like I would find myself in these situations where I really wanted to trust someone and I would share things that were really personal about myself with them, and they would weaponize those things against me. And TBH, like it was all white women, and Laura's
same with me
my
too,
only
honestly.
white friend now.
It's always white women.
But like I just you know, I think that discernment and secrecy is spiritual protection.
I'm everyone's only
spiritual
white friend.
protection. We should get you a medal. A ribbon.
Decent white person. Decent. I'll take that.
A good witch. I was describing us to my mentor, and I was like, she's a good witch. I mean, I hate that.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you've seen Wicked, then you know.
I remember, like, this is a side note. I used the term when the Black Lives Matter movement started. I said something and I said white witches, blah blah blah. I made like a fucking meme or something, and somebody was like reamed into me because they thought I meant white witchcraft. They're like, there's black and white to witchcraft. It's not just, I was talking about white people that are witches.
And even,
It was so fucking...
Even like white witchcraft versus black magic, that's rooted in racism too.
Yeah. We're going to get to this on another
We're going to have a whole episode. Don't worry.
Yeah. I have to save what I was
I know. We can't say too much, but yeah.
Yeah.
Secrecy
so you can
is
be
protection.
And I shared that meme, and then you know, it was misunderstood.
You opened yourself up. Yeah.
I was trying to be supportive, and you know,
you do open yourself up, but like I'm
I could
proud
go
of
further
you.
too. I could go further.
There's
with
always
it.
more that we can do and that we will do. But
Well, yeah.
you got to open
Thank
up the
you.
door
I mean,
somehow. And at least you
thanks.
open it, because I feel like most of the people who are making t-shirts that say spooky shit don't say anything. And it's yucky. And in those cases, like, you have to allow yourself to be seen and be vulnerable. And I'm talking to myself as well.
Yeah, I'm hearing it. I'm hearing it.
I'm talking to me too.
Yeah, but that's something that
That balance.
white people need to. That's the risk. That's the thing.
It's like the least.
That's the least.
The least we
thing
can
you could
do
is to say something about it.
It's the least we can do.
That's where you need to be brave and think of others, or amplifying like indigenous voices and as an American person on native land. Like I'm hearing that a lot from my guides and spirits, and just core of my being is that I want to amplify and just be like, hey, don't use white sage. Like, hey, don't.
I know, it's so
buy
wild
white
that
sage.
that's still a thing that we have to say. It is so
But people
bonkers
literally
to me.
don't know.
They don't know, and you know what?
And
A
5
lot
years
of
ago,
people
I
don't
didn't
wanna
know. I didn't know 5 years
Yeah.
ago. But again, and a lot of people don't want to know. You're right. And that's okay to like not know and then learn and then not do it. It's okay. But there's not a,
But to choose ignorance?
but to choose
Ooh.
ignorance is like, especially with that kind of stuff, it's like,
That's what my spirit candy quote is about today.
should we go into God? I could talk about this for like
Forever.
ever, but maybe we should go into spirit candy. We'll leave
Okay.
you with that.
We'll leave you with that, with lots of thoughts, and more
thoughts.
questions.
And camaraderie and encouragement and solace in that you're not alone dealing with that kind of stuff. It's a very complicated issue, and
It's
for
a weird
everyone.
time to be alive.
It's a weird time to be a witch. It's a weird time to be alive. I'm sure we'll circle back to some of these broader topics
Absolutely.
in future episodes,
Absolutely.
but know that it's spirit candy time.
Spirit candy.
Channeled messages from our spirit guides. Okay. In moments like this particular thing that I am sharing is actually something that I channeled back in March 18th, and it was about June 24th, the day. Moments like this can lead us to reevaluate the saying that ignorance is bliss. We can find ourselves reflecting upon it. But the truth is, ignorance does not and cannot know bliss. You must know suffering. You must acknowledge suffering to know bliss. Even in a perfect world, there's loss, there's grief. You stub your toe, it hurts. You know hurt, you know joy. You have all eaten the apple from the tree. You know the truth that there's more to the world than just you. Eve's presence is close and loud, pulling us all in closer to her, reminding us that we never left the garden. We simply see beyond its walls.
Full chills. Full chills. That's so relevant.
I know.
Eve.
I know.
Okay.
I love Eve.
There's a movie I just saw called Men. Have you heard of it?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you would love.
Yeah?
It's
Because I hate men.
well, yeah.
Except for a few.
It's a horror thriller
Okay.
by the same dude. It's by a man, and I was shocked that it was by a man.
Okay.
Because it fully viscerally was like, oh, a woman wrote this, right? I knew a guy directed it, but I was like, this guy dug deep
Yeah.
for this movie. Like, I was like, wow, I was very impressed with how. But I won't like spoil anything, but it just came out. It's the same guy who did Ex Machina and something else, and I forgot his name. But do you know his name? Alex Garland. Alex Garland is his name. And I just saw it in the theater, and it was really interesting. It essentially, it's like this woman who's gone through a trauma goes to this old cottage house for like a staycation for 2 weeks. And she experiences this like very small town from the lens of sort of being the Eve. Like, this is kind of a spoiler, so
Fast forward if
fast
you don't want to
forward.
hear it.
All the men in the movie are played by the same man
Oh, that.
in different incarnations.
Yeah.
I just got chills. And
Yeah.
she's like Eve. And like when she gets to the cottage, she bites and takes an apple off the tree and bites. Like, oh, it's very Garden of Eden energy. And oh my God. And they used like pagan, like green man energy.
Yeah.
It is so good.
Okay.
You got to see it.
I'll give it a shot.
But it's very relevant if you're an angry woman or a person that identifies as a woman or whatever.
An angry non-man.
A non-man.
A non-cis man.
A non-cis man. There you go.
Pretty much.
A non-cis. If you're an angry non-cis man,
Yeah.
watch it. Or if you are a man, watch it. Because honestly,
Know yourself.
know yourself. It was made by a man, so
Yeah.
ironically, like I just thought it was. I thought it
Interesting.
was a really valiant like effort to understand and to gain perspective in both ways
Okay.
about toxic masculinity, divine feminine versus like the green man in paganism is like rebirth for male fertility,
Yeah.
which is and how those energies like collide. It was very cool.
Okay. I'll give it a try.
Sorry, that was long, but this is an ad for the movie Men. But it was really cool in a world where a lot of movies suck nowadays.
Did you see Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Yes.
We have to do an episode about it.
Honestly, one of my favorite movies I've ever seen in my life.
OMG. It was.
It was so,
It was so
I don't even have
good.
words. It's Men is sort of like that, where I'm like, oh fuck, like
This is art.
Is art.
Yeah.
It is shot really beautifully too. So Everything Everywhere All at Once, just great. Sort of like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind for me.
Like I'll remember it forever.
Like it affected me visually and emotionally on like a different level.
That movie really did affect us visually for like that one and the Zach Braff one that came out
Garden
around.
State?
Yes. Oh my God. That just like set a tone culturally.
Like, oh, they would say
Yes.
like, oh, that girl's like the Garden State Natalie Portman, or like, yeah.
That manic
There's
pixie.
the trope of like the, yeah.
We should
the
do an episode on Manic
Dream
Pixie.
Girl.
Yeah. Because I know, you know.
I know.
Okay, give us your candy.
okay.
Give us your candy.
Okay, so this was more of like this was a rant that was me and also spirit intertwining with my thoughts, which happens sometimes. Are you doing things for attention, or are you doing it to make it so? What is the motivation? That was one thought.
Damn, though, that one line is deep as fuck. And like, I'm going to start asking myself that every time I go to share, I think.
Truly.
What is my motivation?
What is what are you trying to accomplish here? It's like in acting, that's what we'd say. Like, what is your motivation in this scene? What do you want? What are you trying to get? Act that. Don't act what you think, that's what makes acting. Anyway, I know a lot about acting theory. Okay, I'm gonna stop. Which is magic in its own. Okay, well, it's a whole nother topic. Acting is magic. Okay.
It is.
When it's done right. And this is another concept I thought about. I was reading the word, I was designing new labels for my t-shirts, and I was typing the word small, and I typed it and it didn't recognize it. And I kept looking at it. I was like, when words lose their meaning? I was like, smell? What does that even mean? And I like didn't, maybe there's something wrong with me. I don't know. But things that are repeated lose their meaning and intent to me. The discovery of secrecy is a part of the power of secrecy. It gets old and watered down and manipulated and touched like a piece of glass at a museum. There are fingerprints and feelings all over it, and millions of people can comment and change and manipulate the thing into something too complicated to be digested. And then I just wrote mass, mass, mass. The word mass kept coming to me, and it felt gross. So that's a nice little
Like mass production,
like mass.
Shein.
Like Shein.
People like dumping those Shein hauls of like hundreds of pieces of clothing that were mass produced by like little fucking kids who are getting paid cents on the dollar.
Shein.
Like, damn. And then it comes back to that consumption that we talked about earlier.
The consumption, the touching, and the like. It's like you put something out and then people are. It's like when little kids are like, "Oh, touch it," and it's like, or adults, you know, it's like museum glass. It's like, oh, yeah.
And then you can't see what's behind the glass anymore.
That's what it feels like for me to trust people or to share sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
damn.
Yeah. But anyway, I guess that's
secrecy, you know? It's one of those things that we are always going to have to juggle our relationship to, because part of the human experience is being vulnerable enough to share yourself with others, whether it's creatively, romantically, or otherwise. And by tuning into our discernment, we discover these moments where sharing can be really fucking beautiful. And also we discover these moments where secrecy can serve us so well.
And when you find somebody you can trust, like I trust you, I don't trust a lot of people. You can share a magical space with somebody, which is exactly what this podcast is. And to find a common goal.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful thing.
It really is. And it took us being vulnerable with each other
for a long time.
Yeah. These kinds of relationships don't happen
5 years
overnight. Yeah.
And if they do, like, be careful.
Don't trust it. Virality is not sustainable.
No.
Anything in nature that is meant to exist long term grows slowly. And we are a part of nature. And so are our relationships.
It's like a tree.
Exactly like a tree.
Not a wildflower.
And even a wildflower doesn't spring up overnight. You know?
Not instantaneous. Yeah.
You don't know how long it's been digging into the soil, forming roots before it comes to the surface.
That is true. It's not just what you see, it's the time that it took to get there.
In the secrecy, before it released itself to us.
Before it decided.
I know. Magic is real and it's all around us.
Magic is fucking real.
Do we want to take a question today?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why don't you...
Let's check out the third eye line.
Find out.
I have quite a few great questions. Actually, you know what? I'm going to ask my own question because this is something that nobody put in the ask box, but it's a question that y'all are going to have now that we've spent 5 episodes talking about, I don't know what number we're on. This might be 6 or 7 or 8.
5.
Now that we've been talking about discernment almost every episode, and it came up in one of my classes recently, how do we practice discernment? And for me, trying to go at it alone, just trusting my brain and like the patterns that I've recognized people performing over time doesn't always help me. But using yes or no divination really does. It's very simple. You can do yes or no divination with a pendulum. You can use a playing card deck and assign one color as yes and the other color as no. You can use a magic 8-ball if you keep it in a sacred space with all of your other ritual items and special things. But building a relationship with practicing yes or no divination, you will start to notice how those yeses and nos feel in your body and in your spirit, so that as you are moving through life, you'll start to recognize those sensations as you're meeting new people, as new opportunities present themselves to you. But we get to know what those yeses and nos feel like in a more concrete way when we practice divination.
if it's not something that you just are like, oh no, I'm really good at that. Fuck yeah, practice your discernment.
Practice your discernment.
Practice
yes and no divination is a great and simple way. And do it with like basic stuff that you have going on in your life. Should I order a pizza or make those frozen mini tacos in
or
my
eat
fridge?
those veggies that are rotten in the back of the fridge?
Exactly. And it might seem like really mundane, but when we
It's like
practice,
pizza.
definitely pizza.
Definitely pizza.
My belly says pizza. This is the 8th time I've mentioned pizza today.
Yeah.
Clearly it's on my mind. But when we practice with those mundane things that are easy for us to understand and don't have detrimental effects on our world, on our personal world and global world, you know, if you decide to eat the pizza or you decide to eat the tacos, either way you're going to be fed. It's going to be okay, right? But when we practiced divination, discernment with these simple things, it helps us to feel more prepared when these greater moments come to us and we need to use our discernment then.
Yeah.
So that's my
I love that.
my third eye line for today.
I love it.
This was a good episode.
This was a really good episode.
Yeah.
That was great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Third Eye Bind.
Be sure to leave us a message on the third eye line. We'll see you
us.
soon. Ooh.
Bye.
Hello?
Hello.
Mom?
Thank you so much for listening. You can follow the podcast at Third Eye Bind Pod on Instagram. There, submit your questions via the Third Eye line by sending us a voice message or text DM. The show is available wherever you listen to podcasts and for you to watch on YouTube. Get early access to episodes and even monthly one-on-one sessions with us by joining our Patreon. Find us at patreon.com/thirdeyebind. Third Eye Bind is produced and edited by Mike Realm. Hosted by Caitlin Grania and Laura Wong. Music by Mike Realm. Set design by Laura Wong. You can find Laura on Instagram at Lady Moon Co. And you can find Caitlin on Instagram at Spirit Garden Tarot.